Hello friends, so for today's video I am joined by my husband Sean.
Hello.
And we're going to be doing the all the feels tag. So first he'll read off the questions to me, I'll answer, and then we'll swap. I saw my friend Joshana do this tag and I thought it seemed really fun. I'll have her video linked, but we're just going to jump right into it.
Alright, question number 1. A book or book series that makes you smile. Parentheses, happy vibes only, end parentheses.
I have talked quite a bit about a couple of books this year that I have found really cute and really heartwarming and charming. So I'm just going to get those out of the way, which would be The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches and Half a Soul. But a book that I have not talked about enough, I feel like, is this children's book called Night Owl. It's so cute. It's about a little baby owl, so an owlet, that wants to be a knight, and he specifically wants to work the night shift. And it's very cute, and it's all of basically 10 pages or something, and it's very silly, and the end is really random. Do you remember the end?
I do.
It's really cute. It's really silly. And yeah, happy vibes only. There's nothing but happiness in this little story.
Number 2. A book or book series that fills you with rage.
Okay, I'm going to list a nonfiction.
Okay.
The Color of Law, which is all about, in America, how zoning was decided to further segregation. And it is rage-inducing. And then I'll say for fiction, I really didn't like, I've said this recently, I really didn't like the direction that Ship of Destiny took. A lot of the plot points, I think it's really well written. I think we dive a lot into the trauma of the characters, but some of the directions the plots went in, I wasn't the biggest fan, and it actually made me really angry, to a point where Sean came home from work one day and I was like, I'm in a bad mood, and I was telling him all about how I was in a bad mood because of this part of the book I read.
Number 3. A book that brought tears to your eyes.
So there's a lot. I have never cried reading a book, but I do have points while reading that I get very emotional. One that I had to fight back tears, another nonfiction, would be Know My Name by Chanel Miller. That one, immediately, I was having a hard time with. And throughout, and the end, where she reads her statement, and she narrates the audiobook too. And she gets oh my gosh, I'm thinking about it right now. She gets choked up while she's reading it. And then that made me I started getting emotional listening, plus the subject matter is very emotional. But as far as some fiction, of course, Full Metal Alchemist, and the first time I read Mistborn. I mean, weird parts on rereads of Mistborn made me emotional, but Mistborn Fury Song, if you've read Fury Song, you know the moment that is just heartbreaking. Sean will eventually know, because he's read the first book in that series. So there's a part that is so heartbreaking. And there's one day that I just flipped open to that page, I think during a patron reading sprint, and I was like, oh gosh, I can't even look at it. Or no, I think it was the live show for patrons for that book, where I just immediately got really sad as soon as I saw it. And when we were talking about it, my friend Jessie and I was like, okay, we need to move on, because I was getting sad thinking about it. So those ones.
Number 4. A book that keeps you laughing.
Full Metal Alchemist. I'm just going to say that again. Nothing makes me laugh like Full Metal Alchemist. I have said that many a time. Full Metal Alchemist is the funniest thing.
So it brought tears to your eyes and made you laugh.
That's why it's the best.
Whoa.
As I wear this t-shirt.
Yeah.
By the way, Sean bought this for me for Christmas one year.
It's a good gift.
Best friends forever.
All right, number 5. A book that makes you green with envy.
So this can mean a lot of different things. Maybe the way Deshauna was describing it, you can take it as the character within the book has a job that you would really want, or maybe somebody you admire a lot, things like that. So I'm trying not to just say all of the exact same things. So I'll say in Shades of Magic, the whole premise of that story is that there is a man that has the ability to travel between parallel worlds. And if that was the thing, I would want to be that person that can travel between parallel worlds. Because, I mean, first instinct is saying, like, I want to be a Mistborn. And I know Deshauna mentioned that she wants a dragon. So I was like, I mean, I want a dragon. So Aurelian Cycle would fit that as well, or any book with dragons. But I'm going to say Shades of Magic. I really want to go between different worlds.
A book that scared the pants off of you.
I mean, okay, I don't read a lot of scary books. I actually do want to get a little bit more into horror. I mean, House of Salt and Sorrow and Small Favors, both by the same author, those are creepy. I wouldn't say they scared the pants off of me. So can I just say, maybe this is a ridiculous answer. I'm scared for the Fifth Storm, my archive book. I'm really scared for our characters. And I'm also like, I really hope he sticks that landing. You know, I'm sure he will, but I'm like, I'm scared.
You never know.
Well, yeah, it could be a train wreck. I don't think it will be, but I'm terrified for our characters. And I really don't want to say any character names just because I don't want to reveal who is or isn't alive or things like that, but it scares the pants off of me, basically, thinking of what could happen.
A book that bored you to tears or put you to sleep.
I don't think I've ever fallen asleep reading. Unlike... Sean yawned. Sean was yawning as he was reading that question. Sean, there would be times where we'd be up reading and I'd be on one couch and he'd be on the other.
Hey, we're asking you here.
I know, I'm just saying that Sean, it doesn't even have to be a book he finds boring. He could... Wow, this is not paralleling exactly what I was going to say. So when he gets sleepy, he won't just go to bed. He has this bad habit. I'll be like, I'm pretty sure you're falling asleep. Why don't you go to bed? And he's like, no, I'm good. And then he would just fall asleep and then drop the book on himself. Anyway, I cannot fall asleep that easily.
Sometimes maybe a Kindle on myself.
A Kindle. Yeah. He just dropped his phone, not because he was falling asleep. That'd be pretty rude. You just fall asleep.
Oh, I'm tired.
I actually like this book, but The Queens of Innisleer took me quite a while to read because it is a lot slower moving of a story. So I'll go with that one.
Number 8, a super steamy book.
A Game of Fate has just one steamy scene after the next. I almost didn't even want to say that book for this because I didn't find a single one of those scenes actually steamy, if that makes sense. Like, they obviously have adult content, but they were so ridiculous to me that it wasn't steamy. So, I don't know. I'm gonna say A Game of Fate, but I say it grudgingly.
All right, number 9. A book that inspires or motivates you to be your best self, to grow and or to change.
Okay, I have a few answers for this. The book Evicted by Matthew Desmond is fantastic, as you would expect. It's about eviction. It's very good. Also, the amount of effort he put into that book, the dedication, that alone I think is really inspiring, but also it kind of opens your eyes and makes you more empathetic. When it comes to fiction, so Annie, sorry to bring up my favorites again, Annie from The Aurelian Cycle goes through a lot, and she is really good at being able to ignore what is being said about her. She's able to just focus on what she needs to focus on and get things done. It's really admirable. I think Strange the Dreamer, with its themes being so much about compassion, which I say all the time, kind of instills in you the desire to be more compassionate. And then, this is going to sound so cheesy. Sean knows that I've said this before, that sometimes when I can feel myself getting kind of emotional, in my brain I'm like, what would Vin do? How would Vin feel right now? I've literally thought that before, and it calms me down, and it's really dumb, but I do that sometimes.
Number 10, a book that makes you nostalgic.
The Song of the Lioness. The Alana series, it's a quartet. I loved those when I was young, and I really want to reread them. And it just makes me think about, because my sister really liked that series too. It's one of the only series that, because we're 5 years apart, she's older. It's one of the only books that we both read and liked, or one of the only worlds, I should say. So I have this nostalgia for that feeling of being a kid, and you have your sibling, and then also just that feeling of cozying up and laying on your belly on the floor with I don't know if other people laid on their floor when they were reading as a kid, but I was always laying on the floor and reading, and so Song of the Lioness. Ready
Bravo.
to switch? Ready to switch?
Bravo. Alright, I have to have my notes handy.
I like how when I showed you a video that we did together, you said, "Oh, I look old," and then every time you're in a video, you make.
That's how I sound now.
You sound
I'm
like
ready.
in the Tomb Raider game, her butler. If you run into him.
I remember that. You showed me that.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
funny. All right.
Kicking it off. Question 1: a book or book series that makes you smile. Parentheses. Happy vibes only. End parentheses.
So happy vibes only is a little hard for me.
Yeah.
But I wrote down the manga Dead Demons Destruction.
But you've said that it gets really heavy or really.
Yeah, later. But at the beginning, when it's just like really weird, quirky girls, you know, going to school and being worried about aliens, it's really funny.
A book or book series that fills you with rage. Can I guess?
Go for it.
You really didn't like The Wind-Up Girl.
That is on here. I have a couple things.
You did not care for Leviathan Wakes.
I didn't write that down because I feel like that's typical Sean behavior. But the other thing I wrote down is
One Piece?
Yeah. When I think of Usopp, whatever his stupid name is, and his stupid face from One Piece, I actually get mad. Like I think about him, and then I have to think about something nice like flowers or meadows or my wife. Yes.
Or our dog.
Or our dog.
Aw, he's cute.
Sometimes, yeah, like petting Luna, that'll calm me down.
A book that brought tears to your eyes.
So I have a few different answers. I have The Vision by Tom King, weirdly. It's a comic book about, well, a comic book series about the Vision of the Avengers, Vision. And also Dr. Star and the Kingdom of Lost Tomorrows, another comics series by Jeff Lemire. It is devastatingly sad. And then I also have The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. Corrections is very sad.
The next one, a book that keeps you laughing.
I just said anything by Kurt Vonnegut. It's probably going to make me laugh. Also, Full Metal Alchemist.
You do genuinely.
Yeah, I do.
The next one says a book that makes you green with envy.
So, I think, similar to what I just said about Kurt Vonnegut, I took this to mean, like, envy of the writer's skills. And I have found that my favorites are things that can make me laugh and then want to cry soon after. So, like Joseph Heller in Catch-22, Kurt Vonnegut, David Foster Wallace to an extent. I will laugh and then want to cry. So I wish I had that ability.
A book that scared the pants off you.
So I am not much of a horror man, but I started thinking The Big Nowhere by James Ellroy, the second of the LA Quartet, has some pretty disturbing and graphic descriptions in there. And then that made me think of 1974 by David Peace, who also has some very disturbing and graphic descriptions. So I would say like those two. Maybe 1974 by David Peace more. I was like, you know, like kind of gross.
A book that bored you to tears or put you to sleep.
So, as we discussed, I fall asleep reading often. But this was pointed out to me because I actually couldn't think of one, but I'll remind me of 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. I read all 960 pages of that book, and I don't know why.
I'm very curious to see what you're going to say for a super steamy book.
Yes, so I said Saga.
Oh.
If you know, you know. There's some steamy scenes in Saga.
A book that inspires or motivates you to be your best self, to grow and or to change.
Mine is also I don't know the word. Sentimental. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Cheesy. That's
Cliche.
fine. Well, I wouldn't say. I don't know. I said, weirdly enough, I said John Adams by David McCullough because John Adams, it'd just be like, you know, because a lot of that book is taken from his own diaries, and it's like, on Mondays and Wednesdays I wake up and read the scriptures, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays I practice my Greek, or, you know, like, he, like, knows different, I don't think he knows Greek, but he knew, like, other languages, like, he learned French very quickly. He was very structured and diligent with his studies. He wrote a ton, and then he still found time to, like, document everything in his
Didn't he become
diary.
a farmer for a while?
Yeah, he was a farmer for a while, and, you know, he, I don't know, I just think he seems like he was an interesting dude. Yeah, and I was going to say something else. Oh, and then just also his understanding of, like, Greek and Roman classics. Like, he was like, everyone should read Cicero. And I'm like, I've never read Cicero, but meant a lot to John Adams, so there you go.
The last one, a book that makes you nostalgic, which weirdly took you the longest to figure out.
It did, but then once I got it, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. So
You're proud of yourself?
Pretty proud of myself. So not a book, but the Spider-Man comics that I read growing up, that was the J. Michael Straczynski and John Romita Jr. era, and those I liked a lot. And I think what is funny about Spider-Man comics specifically is I feel like they're very soap opera-y. Also, I really like John Romita Jr.'s art because I grew up with it, and I've learned that's not
Popular.
Entirely popular. I think there are people probably about my age who are like, yeah, and then there are people maybe a little older or younger who are like, mm-mm. Thank you for watching this All the Feels book tag. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.